Lift Your Monday. Welcome back. We took a break last week, and that was for me to kind of dive in, kind of change some things up. So I hope you guys are ready. We're coming at you with a new approach. It's totally different in a way. What that means is I had a conversation with the president here at Hastings College, Dr. Fizel, and he really challenged me, what is the content of Lift Your Monday, right? I know what I want to do, and I know what I want to talk about, and it's kind of been beating around the bush a little bit of what I want to do. What am I trying to get you guys to listen to? What is the main content of Lift Your Monday? And that is what we are going to attack today. I have a special guest on. We're going to switch it up. He is going to interview me. Yep. I will be the interviewee, if that is the word. He will be the interviewer. So I'm very excited about that. We're changing things up. We're coming at you with a new approach. It's a shorter time frame too. So there's really no excuse. Oh, it's too long. Yeah, not anymore. You can't use that as an excuse. So it should be right around 40-ish minutes. That's not crazy. Listen to it. Dive in. Also, guys, pause it if you need to, right? You don't have to all listen to it at one time. Hey, on your drive, put it on, lift your Monday. Hey, get your Monday going. Boom, pause, get to class. After class, put it back on. There you go. You're constantly lifting your Monday throughout Monday. What a concept. Very excited for it. The guest I have on, his name is Travis Agaga. He is my friend. He is my coworker, and he is really amazing when it comes to the ideation, diving into the deeper aspect of things. Way better at it than I am. So I'm very excited for him to come on. I really challenged him by helping me with these questions. And I, used his ideation, one of his strengths, and really used that concept and that aspect of who he is to help me develop these questions. And it's huge, guys. I'm super excited for you guys to hear it. Not just because it's me, but because it's the new format. And I think it's going to help you guys really figure out, hey, every time I listen to Lift Your Monday, this is what I'm prepared to listen to. This is what it's going to be about. And I'm very excited for that. Also, a couple announcements. One, I need you guys to do me a favor and subscribe. I had no idea, which is crazy. I should have known this, but I had no idea that the way that podcast spreads the best is by you subscribing to my podcast on wherever you listen to, either Spotify or Apple. So please, please, please go hit that subscribe button. It helps me out tremendously. I don't care if you turn off the notifications or if you listen every other week, whatever it is, but please, please, please go subscribe. Help your boy out. Thank you very much. Also, Tom Schnazy has started a clothing line. It is awesome. It's tailored to the everyday streetwear lifestyle, fitting a lifestyle, a clothing line fit for you. It's awesome. It's called Flouse Apparel. It's right here if you're watching. We've teamed up to do a giveaway, and we'll talk about that at the end of the podcast today. Travis Agaga he's a part of the company. He does a lot of the marketing side of things, and he's really spreading the word. And it's been really cool just to see the growth that they've already had in this little time frame. So be on the lookout for Flouse Apparel. FLOUSE Apparel. You can follow them on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Go check them out. Also, go follow my Instagram for any updates on the podcast, any new things coming, any questions. I'm constantly asking you guys, what do you want to hear? Who do you want to hear? Things like that. Go follow the Instagram. It's H_Jones01. It's, where I do everything. So go check it out. Guys, I'm very excited for this new approach. Lift Your Monday. I'm really trying to dive into the content aspect. What are you listening to every time you tune in to Lift Your Monday? How can I get you to really dive into that? What tools can I give you from different people? Not everybody has the same mindset. Not everybody has the same motivation. Not everybody has the same views of success. So that is where we are going to aim those questions is, what can you get? You shouldn't be the exact same as me. You shouldn't live the exact same lifestyle as me. Nobody should live the exact same lifestyle as anybody. You should be your own person. Be authentic. Be true to yourself. And we will talk about that today. So I'm not going to hold you guys up any longer. Go follow my Instagram, H_Jones01. Go subscribe. Go follow Flouse Apparel. be along with the movement, get ready, get with it. I'm very, very pumped up today, guys. I'm ready to go. Lift Your Monday. We're about to get at it. Travis Agaga, the interviewer. I'm the interviewee. We're going at it. Here we go. Lift Your Monday. One quick thing, I have to add this before we get going on the podcast. Shout out to my cousins, Wyland, Traden. Congratulations on making to state. That is amazing. Iowa State wrestling. That's such a great feat. I'm proud of you guys. Big time Lift Your Monday listeners. I hope this podcast today helps you guys, inspires you a little bit to go out there and chase your dreams. You know, hey, bring that state title home. We're all rooting for you. We're all believing in you, especially the Jones family. We're all behind you guys. Go out and get it. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you guys sharing the podcast with the people out there in Iowa. So thank you. Good luck. Go get it. Welcome back to Lift Your Monday. I'm very excited you guys are here. We're bringing a new twist. You know, we're switching things up. I had a good conversation with a very, very wise individual who I will have on the podcast very soon, Dr. Fizel, the president of Hastings College. And we kind of dove into my podcast a little bit, and we talked about, you know, the different aspects of it. You know, what is the true content of this podcast, and what am I trying to get to my listeners? So I did a lot of deep thinking. I took a whole week off because I really wanted to dive into that aspect. And for me, I think the best thing to do is really just have 3 solid questions that I ask every listener or every person on here that I interview. It's the same 3 questions. So every time you guys listen to my podcast, you know exactly what you're getting. So I asked my good friend, Travis Agaga, who I live with, I work with, I played football with, I've known for a very long time. We've gone through a lot together, and we're going to switch it up. I'm going to be the one being interviewed so I can really test out these 3 questions. And I've asked Travis to, you know, kind of dive into these 3 questions with me. One of his biggest strengths is ideation. So he's a very big, deep thinker. For me, I'm more towards get to the point. So I've really asked him to help me with this, and he was the perfect person I thought to interview me because I wanted to test these questions on myself first. And I think it allows you guys to kind of hear me and get to know me more, you know. I don't really I talk about myself a little bit, but normally I'm interviewing somebody else or I'm diving into somebody else. So I think it's cool to kind of flip the script, especially with the new route we're going with Lift Your Monday. So I'm very, very excited to do this and try this out. I've had a lot of good criticism and feedback, and so I'll always take the positive criticism, always take it and use it to flip it and turn it into something to elevate this podcast. And today, that is what we're doing. So, Trav, I know it's not a lot of time, but 5 minutes, give them a quick rundown of who you are, you know, what you're doing and things like that, and let them know so they kind of have an idea of, you know, who's the interviewee or interviewer today.
All right, so my name is Travis Agaga. I grew up in Gretna, Nebraska, was actually born in Togo, West Africa, and then moved to Nebraska when I was about 2 years old. Grew up there, played high school sports there, then decided to play football in college at Hastings. And then when I was about to graduate, I graduated with a business degree and a sports management degree. And then shortly before that, actually, I got offered the GA job at the school to be a strength coach with Coach Jones here. He was kind of the first one to do that, and I kind of took after him and saw that it was something I wanted to try and dive into. And so ever since I did that, really started working on personal development, self-growth, and it's like unleashed this new world to me. And I kind of started finding my strengths. And like he said, my biggest strength is ideation. And I've always wondered, why do I think so deep? Why am I always in my head? Why am I always thinking about these extra things and extra possibilities that most people don't think about? And so it's pretty cool to be on this podcast and be able to utilize my strength and kind of help you dive into yourself a little bit and get these questions rolling and answer them. So a little bit about me, nothing too much yet, just working my way up in the world, trying to make something of myself.
Perfect. And I've been talking to Trav about getting him on the podcast, but I didn't want to get him on, so I really had something that, you know, I could really use him to get to you guys the best route. I didn't just want to interview him. So I think what better than to use his skills to interview me. So it's super cool. I wouldn't want anybody else to do it. So I'm very excited. So this is going to be the new format. I hope you guys enjoy. But, for this podcast, Lift Your Monday, it's about motivation, success, and helping you guys get different opinions of that so you can still take whatever works for you. And I know that's where I want this podcast to go. So I hope you guys enjoy. But Trav, you're in charge. Take it away.
All right, let's get this thing rolling. All right, so my first question for you, and something that I always ask myself, is what or who has been the biggest impact on your life and why? Like, what has really changed your life? What has made you change your mindset? What keeps you going? Like, what is it that has really impacted you and made you who you are?
Definitely. So for me, I've always known that I wanted to ultimately help people. And in high school, I always thought, the initial route was, the military. And I didn't think about like going to the military to like go to war, things like that. I always wanted to be like a medic, but that didn't pan out the way I initially expected. So then I was like, okay, maybe I'll go be an EMT or a paramedic or something like that. And then I was like, well, I'm going to school, so I really want to dive into that more. And then the PT route, physical therapist, really intrigued me. The sports aspect of the PT, I had some injuries. I broke my leg in high school. I've been through the whole PT side, and I've seen what it can do for somebody to really help them, get back to doing what they love. So that was a big thing for me. And then I started at that route, and then I realized, I really wanted to work more with the athletic scene and a lot of physical therapy. You can get to that, but it's very hard. A lot of it is the elderly population, and that just wasn't for me. So then I found strength and conditioning, and I saw something that I could really use to reach a ton of people, more than an athletic aspect, but in a human development aspect, and, really help people find out who they are and, figure out the strengths that they have beyond just lifting weights. And for me, there's been a couple of people that have really pushed me to find what I love and do what I love. And, I know it's, the common answer, but my dad, I always aspire everything I do to be like him, because he's been through a lot in his life, and he's gotten to where he's gotten by, hard work, head down, doing what he's had to do. And he's constantly working, providing for his family, doing everything he has to do. And I always look up to that. And I think that's where I get my hard work mentality from. And then when it comes to, especially in high school, a mentor I really looked up to was my wrestling coach, Coach Gary Hartman. Nobody really took the time to dive into who I was in high school like he did, and really pushed me to be my absolute best, especially when I was going through my broken leg. That was the first year I was ranked in wrestling, and it was a big hit for me to not actually be able to go out and wrestle. And he was with me every step of the way. He could have just focused on everybody else and said, I'll get to you later. But he really pushed me to come back stronger than ever. And I still talk to him, at least once a week about everything and anything. This guy has been here. I consider him a second dad. I honestly I wouldn't have the mindset I have today or be where I was today if it wasn't for him. For sure, he's had a big impact on my life. I live a 1% lifestyle, and I truly heard 1% from him first before I heard it from anybody else. So it was really cool that when I got to Hastings College that was a thing. So another one is Brett Wells, for sure. He's really changed my mindset that I live my life by. He, introduced me to this culture, this map that he has, and it changed my whole thinking. It changed my whole, view on everything I do. He helped find a map. He helped me map my direction of where I wanted to go. I knew I wanted to help people, but I didn't know how. So when he allowed me to be an intern, allowed me to, really dive into this strength and conditioning lifestyle, it changed my whole view of everything, especially because he didn't just, he doesn't just focus on the coaching aspect. Yes, very, very good on that side, but he takes the time to actually dive into you as a person, dive into you as a human being. He wants to see you go on to be successful in this, but successful in life, whatever it may be. It's really forced me to grow as a human being and forced me to, figure out how to engage other humans. He always talks about, everything in life is humans, 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 people, 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 culture, culture, culture. And that's something that sticks with me every day, and that's where I get like the E plus R equals O. I get it from him, 1% I get from him. And now I take it from him and I change it to, what works best for me. And that's what I've taken to this podcast, the Lift Your Monday, is I want you guys to get things out of this and take it and use it for yourself. Twist it how you want it, that works best for you. You don't live your life like me, but take things that work for me and use them for a way that works for you. And it's really, really shown me, the path I want to go. And those are like the people who are older than me that really guided me. And then, there's people around my age that have really affected me. And just some big ones off the top of my head is, you. And I know we've had talks about it, but there's times where I'm so like head down, straightforward kind of person that I don't think like big picture, things like that. And so when you come at me with like these big thoughts and ideas, it really forces me to think and forces me to grow in that aspect. And, I wouldn't have started this podcast if it wasn't for you challenging me to be, how can you be more than a strength coach? Because we had this talk one time and we were talking, yeah, you want to be a strength coach and all this, but what are you doing to really be more than that? You're not just a strength coach. And I honestly, this podcast would not have started if we never had that conversation. I don't know if I've ever told you that, but that's a big thing for me. And then another one is kind of like a group is like Casey Malafua and Stephen Dunham. Those are two guys I really look up to because they're a little bit older than me, but the way they live their life is so they're true to what they believe and they're true to what they say, and they're very honest people. And that's an aspect that I really admire. And they live and they go by what they preach every day. And to see that and see their growth, because I remember them being, sophomores. I think they were sophomores or juniors when I got here. And it's cool to see where they're at now, doing what they love and, kind of still figuring out what they want to do, but really diving into who they are and seeing them grow. It's a cool thing to look up to because it's helping me grow as a human being. And then a big one is, my group back home, Josh Miller, Reed McGraw, Brandon Belk, and like Mark Olmos. Those are my guys back home. And Blake Nowlin. I talk to these guys, I don't get to talk to them all the time, but when I do, it's like nothing has changed, especially Josh Miller. I mean, if you haven't heard an inspirational story, if you haven't heard something that really inspires you to get off the couch and do what you've been dreaming about doing, this guy is the guy. I hope to get him on here one day, but I mean, nothing pushes me like Josh Miller pushes me to be a better human being. Josh, if you're listening, man, thank you for everything you do. Everything you send me every day. I know you send to a ton of people, and I know it inspires everybody every single day. So do not stop. Reed and Brandon, you guys push me every day to truly be the best version of myself and to be the best man of God. Josh, you too, and I really appreciate that. It's really inspired me to dive more into my relationship with God. And Blake and Mark, you guys are just my guys, and I really appreciate just the times we have in talking and, the fact that we still have a relationship, 6 years after high school. I really appreciate that. But I know it's kind of long, but that's what really inspires me to, be who I am. And,
Okay. So I heard when you were talking, you kind of said that it's really important to get to know the human.
Mm-hmm.
And so it sounds like the people that impact you the most were people who found out who you were as a person, really went behind you just being an athlete or just a student, and really looked at who you were, and they impacted you and gave you some direction in a time where you maybe didn't know your purpose, or you needed a little nudge to take the next step forward. Why do you think that it's so important to get to know the person first as you're helping them?
Definitely. I think finding out who somebody is and kind of how they tick, it allows you to kind of work with them and kind of figure out what's going to help them in the long run. Because it's the same, like you can't coach everybody the same way. You know, when you find out how somebody works, you can kind of figure out, hey, when I talk to this person, I know this makes them the most comfortable, so it's going to help them in this area. Or I know this makes them uncomfortable, so if I want to push them a little bit, I'm going to kind of guide them in this area. Because you need both aspects when you're helping somebody.
Mm-hmm.
You know, constantly just being comfortable isn't going to push them to where they want to be. But I know, like, if I'm talking to an athlete, I want to get to know them a little more, kind of build that connection with them, because it allows them to build a connection with me at the same time. And I've found that it helps with the buy-in too. You know, I don't need them to 100% be bought in, but when they start to get that buy-in feeling, then they kind of will dive in. They'll kind of give themselves more to it, and they'll allow themselves to find that uncomfortable feeling. And that's huge. But if you're not willing to take the time in your athletes, why are you expecting them to take the time with you? You know, and that's in life too. If you work at a job, if you're not willing to dive into your employees and get to know your employees, why do you expect them to, you know, do everything for you and, you know, have this relationship with you? I think that's huge coming from that aspect.
I like that answer. I think that's a great answer. So kind of going into the next question, you talked about the people who impacted you and people have got you where you are today. So you've been pretty successful. The fact that you graduated college, finished your college football career, graduated high school, and now you're here as a strength coach moving forward. What do you think success is? Like, what do you use to define success? And what do you think, or how do you think it is achieved?
Yeah, so I wouldn't necessarily say I'm successful yet, but in a way I am, because I'm happy. And I think success has a part of success is like true happiness. And what I'm doing right now, I absolutely love. You know, I wake up 3:30, 3 a.m. You know, I wake up and I'm not mad about it. It's ecstatic to get up at that time. You know, it's hard sometimes, but I'm never mad that I have to be up at that time, because I love what I do. I love that, you know, I'm doing this because I get to go work with athletes. I'm doing this because I get to go be in a weight room for a job. You know, I'm doing this because it's something I truly love doing. And I think that is part of success. But I think success truly is, you know, I'm doing what I love. I'm happy. For me, having, you know, a pure relationship with God is successful. I think having a family is a part of success for me, because that is something I really do aspire to have one day. Having solid family ties that I already have, you know, building relationships with other people, helping other people. So making sure everything I do is helping other people, you know, sticking to my core values is success. You know, I don't care where I end up. I'm not picky about where I live, but I don't care about the money I make. I know that is, you know, an aspect that you have to deal with in life just to survive, but I don't find that as a version of success. I know what I need to do. So like, you know, graduating high school, college, things like that. I'm happy with it, and I need to do it to go on to do what I want to do. But for me, that's not the biggest version of success. It's, you know, going out and being able to, trying to figure out how to put this in words, but yes, having those things. But to me, it's like, I did those things, if that makes sense. You know,
That makes sense.
I was able to accomplish those things. Not that I have it, is I was able to accomplish things that, you know, some people don't even expect me to have accomplished. And that is a cool view for me. And that is more success to me than actually doing it.
Okay.
Is, you know, finding that and being able to have done it. And now it's, you know, where do I go next with that? But still in relation to, you know, what I believe in and everything that, you know, makes me me.
Good. So you talked about helping other people and how you want to have a family, you want to help your family and help others. Do you think that helping others allows you to have more access to success or more access to your goals and dreams? Why? Like, why do you think that helping others is important for success?
I mean, because ultimately what I want to do in life is truly help others. So I think for me to be successful is whatever I'm doing needs to be helping others in some sort of way. Even if it's just one person at a time, that's still successful to me. And like this podcast, I find this podcast successful if one person gets something out of it. I don't need 1,000 listeners every time, but one person reaching out and saying, hey, this podcast spoke to me today, or this is what I needed today. Boom. That's successful to me. I'm not in it to, get all the listeners. I'm in it to provide something for other people that need, just a boost on Monday. Or even if you're not listening on Monday, you're listening on Tuesday through Friday. It's something for other people. I don't get paid. I don't get anything like that. So it's just something that I want to do to help other people. And that's what I find successful is people, using it as a tool in any sort of way. And like I said, one person or 100, it doesn't matter. That's successful to me.
I love your take on that and your perspective on that. I truly do believe that helping others forces you to be authentic, because you can't really help other people if you're not your best version, and you're only your best version when you're yourself.
Yeah,
and
no
like
doubt.
you're doing on this podcast, I think it really shows that you care about helping other people and care about giving back to the people that helped you, because like you said, you're not getting paid to do this. This is all in your own time. And so the fact that you do that shows that you're driven and shows that your true purpose is to help others.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I think like we've talked about it before is when you're working with athletes, especially athletes can tell when you are BSing them. When you go in, they can pick up, if you're complete just bull. And I think that's a huge thing, is just remaining authentic to who you are. If you start working with a group or team, it's very, very hard, because at first they're not going to trust you. They're not going to be bought into what you're doing. So it's tough to remain authentic throughout that. But if you're able to be consistent and authentic, no matter what you're doing and who you are and what's going on around you and people pulling you down, pushing you around, things like that, if you remain authentic, I think that's when they truly start to buy in and start to, follow along. And, they'll still test you, but they're testing you in a good way, not testing you because they don't believe in you. They're testing you because it's a pushing you kind of aspect. And I think that goes with this podcast too.
Kind of leading off that question, how hard is it to be authentic?
Oh, I think it's incredibly hard, especially nowadays with social media. Everybody is posting all these things on social media about, hey, you should do this and that, and I do this, especially celebrities. So I think it's very, very hard to remain true to who you are, because a lot of times we want to be like other people. So to remain authentic it's tough, but it's ultimately the most fulfilling, because you're who you are and you're who you were made to be. And you can get the most out of that, because at the end of the day, you'll have to be that. So if you can start now and not worry about what other people view you as or think of you as, because if you look on social media, all those people you're following and looking up to, they're not posting, the bad parts of their life. They're not posting the negative things that happen to them. They're only posting the good things. And, they never want you to see the bad side. They only want you to see, oh, I'm doing this and I'm being great and I'm doing that and I'm being great. Like, they don't post their failures for a reason. And I think that's something, we really need to remember is, failure is a part of life, and being authentic is huge, because if you can remain authentic in everything you do, you're going to get more out of that in the long run than if you, put on a facade and you try to do this, because eventually that will catch up to you and you'll have a, oh no moment, and you'll be like, I don't know what to do from here. So I think the earlier you can get to the authentic moment and authentic lifestyle, the better off you are.
So with the authenticity comes vulnerability.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kind of dive into a vulnerable question here and ask you, what is it exactly that you're going after in your life? What is it that you envision yourself to be? I know it's really tough to say exactly what you want to be, but the minute you say that you want to be something and you put it out there, it kind of holds you accountable to do it. So I really want to challenge you and ask you this question. What is it that you're after? What is driving you to get there as well?
I think for me, my ultimate goal is, I think the typical answer is, a job title. But for me, it is remaining, even being stronger in my faith consistently and being a true, authentic version of myself, no matter what happens, no matter where it takes me, and remaining to that for my whole life. There's going to be times where I feel like I need to waver away, but if I don't remain true to that now or in the future, that's not, living up to my standard of lifestyle. And I think that's a hard question to answer because, most people are like, oh, I want to be a D1 strength coach. Yeah, that is amazing. I want to do that. But if I'm not truly helping people beyond strength and conditioning I'm not helping them in a human development way, that's not who I want to be. I want to be somebody who goes above and beyond to actually go out and help people in some sort of way. So I hope that answered your
No,
question.
that answers my question. I think a lot of people try to put a title to their dream and say, this is exactly what I want to be. But if you really look back at your experiences, you see that once you hit a goal, once you hit a milestone in your life, once you become what you said you want to be, you're always like, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
What's next? And one thing that you'll never say what's next to is just you being yourself. Because I feel like if you can be yourself, you're always staying connected to your roots. You're staying true to who you are. And you have these beliefs that you never waver from. And like they always say, bend but don't fold. So in those moments where people are testing you to, like, are you really authentic or not? Or testing you if you're going to stay true to who you are, you can bend a little bit, but don't fold. And I think a lot of people just need to kind of realize that a little bit. And I think you already have. And what I'm going to ask is, when did it kind of hit you that that was your goal? That's what you want to be, is authentic.
So the authentic part, I don't think that really came. So like a big thing for me is like, I've always been really big on like honesty and, keeping that aspect of life. But the authentic part, I never really dove into like vulnerability and authenticity till I became a part of the graduate assistant and strength and conditioning program here, because I was never really forced to dive into it. Throughout school, teachers don't talk about, being vulnerable. They only talk about, what is a part of class, math, science. Nobody really dives into who you are as a human being. There's not a lot of like lifestyle classes like that. And I think that's something that is starting to kind of turn. And I know Casey Malafua really brings a big twist of that into his classes. He really forces you to kind of think about who you are. And I think that's amazing because not really anybody is doing things like that. And for me, talking to Coach Wells, him diving into me as a person, diving into who I am, has forced me to kind of dive into who I am and what I want. I always wanted to be in the weight room, strength and conditioning, but I didn't realize what I really wanted to do with that until he kind of took me under and, kind of forced me to figure out, what do I really want to do with that? So I think when that kind of got in, it pushed me to really, I wanted to help people, but how did I want to help people? What route did I want to help people? How was I going to do it beyond just helping people work out?
So before we finish, we talked a lot about authenticity, vulnerability, and just staying true to yourself. And I know it's really hard to do that when you don't have any motivation. And so what advice do you have to your listeners and viewers today about staying true to yourself, so that way when it's hard, some days, the days you don't want to get up, the days where you question your dreams, what kind of advice do you have to give them to help them get through that and to help them stay authentic and keep searching for that authentic best version of themselves?
Definitely. I always say, find, a little thing that, like what's your juice, BYOJ, bring your own juice. And sometimes it's deeper. Sometimes it's not as deep. Sometimes it's just a quote. Sometimes it's a song. Sometimes it's something that truly you can lean on to inspire you for that moment. Because sometimes you just need a little starter. Sometimes you need something to get you through really dark times. And it really depends on who you are as a person. And one of my goals for this year was reading the Bible. And a big thing is I didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to do it. So I bought a devotional, and it's really helped me dive into that aspect. And what I've learned is actually diving in and reading and kind of figure out his word and how he speaks to us and how he's there for us has really allowed me. And that's what's really been helping me a lot, especially in those tough times, because, my future is all in his hands. And a lot of times I try and set my future for myself, and I try and make things happen that I cannot control. And I struggle in that aspect. So really allowing him to kind of, hey, I'm yours, you take over, has been huge for me. And that's what's really helped me in my toughest moments. I use a lot of music to help me get through things, especially in the morning at 3, 4 a.m. Yeah, putting on a song that really just gets my mind thinking, gets my mind going, whatever it may be. It might be other people. A lot of times we have to lean on each other, especially in our toughest moments of, man, I'm just dead right now. And we have another team and things like that. We can use each other, and that's been huge for me. So if you need to find somebody that, hey, I just need, talk 5 minutes, or call somebody, an old friend. I think that's always huge. And I read the story the other day. It was about a guy, he was sawing at this tree, and another guy walks up and he says, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, I'm trying to cut this tree down. I've been going at it for a long time." He says, "How long?" So the other guy asks, "How long you been sawing?" He says, 5 hours. And the other guy just kind of stood there puzzled. He's like, "Why don't you take a break and sharpen your saw?" He said, "I can't. I'm too busy sawing." And I think that relates to us as human beings so much, because so many times we're just go, 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 but we never take time to actually sharpen our saw. And our saw is multiple things. It's, our emotionally, it's physically, it's spiritually, it's socially, emotionally. That's just taking time for ourselves to kind of just breathe. Maybe it's listening to some music, writing in a journal. Writing can just free your mind so much. Physically, it's just, going to yoga, taking time to just breathe, taking time to relax. If you're constantly on your feet, sit down, stretch, little things like that. Working out so you get some endorphins, kind of, I saw this thing the other day. Nobody left a great workout session unhappy. And it's so true. Spiritually, taking time to, if it's what you believe in, taking time to talk to God, taking time to just free your soul, mind, calm your body down, and calm your mental down, and find peace in the world. And then socially, taking time to talk to somebody you haven't talked to in a long time. Call your mom, dad, grandma, and grandpa. It's always a tough thing to think about, but grandparents are older, and you never know what could happen. But you never know what can happen with anybody. So call that old friend you haven't talked to in a long time. Spend 20 minutes just catching up and talking. It's an amazing feeling. Talk to somebody new you haven't talked to. You can really change somebody's whole day by just saying hi and smiling at them. So I think sometimes we forget to sharpen our own saw, and I think that's huge when it comes down to that.
I like that. And just to add a little bit of advice to that too. Another big thing is just reconnect to your roots. Reconnect to anything that makes you feel like you, or reminds you of who you once used to be. If you're feeling lost, just think back to your past. What are the things you used to do when you were a kid, still dreaming, still had a big imagination, full of motivation and passion? What connects you to that? What reminds you of that? Dig back to it, because that might give you a little bit of direction going forward. But that's all the questions I have for you today, Coach Jones.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you for being on.
Thanks for having me.
Kind of what you were saying, don't be afraid to chase your dreams. Don't be afraid to do what you love. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you're not supposed to do it, but why not? It's what you love. It's what you want to do. Don't be afraid to step out of that comfort zone. Don't be afraid to struggle. Struggle builds character. Struggle makes you strong. You don't get strong by not struggling. So again, this is going to be the new format. I hope you guys enjoyed. Really going to dive into the questions. Again, I'll have Trav kind of reiterate the questions again, so you guys kind of have that mindset. So
First question we'll be asking is what or who has impacted you the most in your life and why? Another question is define success and what does it mean to you and how do you think it can be achieved? And then how has helping others or serving others helped you reach success, or how does it help you get closer to success? And then lastly, what is it that you're going after and why you're going after it? What's driving you towards that goal or whatever you're after?
Awesome. I hope you guys enjoyed. Before we go, I talked about doing a giveaway in the intro, so we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit. Tom Schnazy, if you do not know him, figure it out. You guys need to. He's starting a clothing line. It's called Flouse Apparel right here. I'm going to let Trav talk about it a little bit, and then I'll go into the giveaway after.
So Flouse Apparel is a new company that Tom Schnazy started with a buddy of his. Really what it is, it's just streetwear clothing, fashionable clothing, staying up with the latest trends. We got a lot of new stuff coming, different kinds of things to come in the future. But really what it is we just want clothes that fits you, that is made and tailored towards you so you can feel comfortable and free in it. Because if you want to be authentic, you got to be able to look authentic. If you look good, you feel good. And that's what the clothing line is all about. It's about living in the now. Flouse actually means being in the present, being in the now. And we will always want you guys to be in the now, because the more you are in the moment, the more authentic you can be.
And I just want to get this out there. He's not paying me to do this. I just think it's awesome helping others, me helping him grow, him helping me grow. I think it's just a cool aspect, and I really, really enjoy this. If I can help somebody, with their clothing line, I'm all about it. So for the giveaway, what we are going to do is you need to follow my Instagram. You need to follow Flouse Apparel's Instagram, and then you need to subscribe to my podcast either on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Subscribing gets the podcast out there. Without subscriptions, nobody's ever going to find out about it. So I need you to subscribe. What you will do is you'll follow both, and then you will take a screenshot of you subscribing to my podcast, post it, send it to me, whatever. It does not matter. As long as I get it somehow, you're into the drawing. All right? So follow both, and then post it, tagging us. Yeah, let's do that. So follow us both, and then post the picture of you subscribing, and then tag Flouse and tag my Instagram, and then we'll pick next Monday. So get that done. Again, follow both my Instagram, Flouse Apparel, and post a picture of you subscribing to my podcast, tag us both, and you're entered. That's all you got to do. So get on that. Flouse Apparel, it's coming. It's hot. Get with it. Yes, again, sir. Appreciate Trav being on here. I hope you guys enjoy the new format of the podcast. We're bringing in a new way. We're cutting down on the time. So then you have absolutely no excuse not to listen because you're not on here. Also, don't be afraid to pause it and listen another time. But now you have absolutely no excuse because these are shorter. They're right to the point. We're getting right after it. And I hope you guys lift your Monday. I hope you guys have a great day. Spread love, help somebody, smile at somebody, talk to somebody. Don't forget to sharpen your saw. And I hope you guys have a fantastic Monday if you're listening on Monday, which you should be because it's Lift Your Monday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Have a great freaking day.
Let's go.